right, hopefully you did well in this review and you just need to go over a few things so you know you can make an easy 100 on your test tomorrow. Study hard, please. Okay, hopefully you see the rectangle right here, the large rectangle, and then the smaller rectangle cut out of it. So let's calculate each by showing the formula. So A equals BH, and then that is 12 times 8, which gets you 96 square yards for that side. Then you have the smaller rectangle, and that is 6 times 4, which is 24 square yards. And then because you have this original red right here, and you want to subtract out this green right there to get what's left over, that's why you take 96 minus the 24, and that gets you a final answer of 72 square yards. And that would be this section right there. So do this for the whole review. It will be just like your test, where you have formula, substitution, final answer for both, and then whether you add or subtract for that final answer. All right, so let's study this one. There's a parallelogram because these two sides are parallel and these two sides are parallel. And then your half circle. So let's solve for the parallelogram first. A equals base times height, which is 20 times 10. The dotted line is that right angle right here. So you get 200 square inches. Now the circle area equals 1/2 pi r squared. So it's a circle, but half of it. So then you have 1/2, 3.14, and the radius, let's go ahead and identify it. If this is 20, that means this parallel side is 20, and half of it from this point over is only 10. So the radius is 10 squared, which is 10 times 10. That means that gets you 1/2. 100 times this is just 314, and half of it gets you a total of 157 square inches. Now in this case, I want this piece and this piece. So I am adding the two up, and I get 200 plus 157, get you a grand total of 357 square inches. Okay, so this one we have a whole triangle right here, and then you're going to subtract out this rectangle. So the only two formulas, triangles and rectangles. So the first one, A equals 1/2 base times height, because it's a triangle. Next line, 1/2 base height. There's your right angle. Don't use the 10. That one's out. So this is 8 times 6, and that gets you 24 square centimeters. Then we just have the rectangle. Area equals base times height, and that is 3 times 4, which is a final 12 square centimeters. Now this one, if I solve for the blue, I have this whole triangle, but then I want to subtract that piece out of it. So I take the 24, subtract the 12, and I get a final answer of 12 square centimeters. That's representing this shaded area right here. Okay, so let's look at the large figure. We have these two sides right here that are parallel, but these two are not parallel to each other. So it is not a parallelogram, it is a trapezoid. And then we have this triangle that we would subtract out of the middle. So let's do our formula directly off the formula chart for our trapezoid. 1/2 B1 plus B2 times H. So that's 1/2. Our bases are the two sides that are not that are parallel. So this 16 and the 14. So that gets you 16 plus 14. And of course the height is always that right angle. So look for that box, and the 16 is perpendicular to the 12. So that is your height. So that is your 12. So now let's just solve. We add up the two middle ones first and we get 30, and we multiply it by 12. That's 1/2 of 360, which gets you a final answer of 180 square meters. Okay, now the triangle. Write the formula directly off the formula chart. 1/2 base times height, and that's 1/2. You're looking for your dotted line, which is your height, and the perpendicular of 8. So that's 8 and 7. Don't use that 9. So that comes out to 28 square meters. So then I know if I take the blue and I subtract out the green, I will then have the shaded area of, subtract out the red, I have the shaded area of the green. So I'm taking the large 180, subtracting the 28, and I'm getting a final answer of 152 square meters. Okay, so this one, we have a rectangle, plain and simple rectangle here, and a quarter circle. That quarter circle, because if you continue it, it is 1/4 of a circle right there. So the blue first, just because I wanted to. Area equals base times height, and that is just 5 times 3, which gets you 15 square inches. Easy enough. The other one, formula is pi r squared, but you got to add a 1/4 in front of it because it's a quarter or a fourth of a circle. So 1/4 times 3.14 for the pi, and the radius is that 3 right there. It's the same as this side. So that's 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9 times 3.14. So on the next line, you could write 1/4, and when you work that out, you get 28.26. Do not forget to divide by 4. That's what this means, divide by 4. And when you do that, you get your grand total of 7.065. Now let's think about if we add those or subtract it. And what you have is this red section here plus this blue section that is combined next to each other. So that just means we add them up. When you do that, you make sure you stack them appropriately. 15 goes here. 7 is the whole number, and the 0.6065 is on that side. So you could add zeros there if you need to see it. So when you add them up, you just get 15 plus 7, which is 22, and that 0.065, and add square inches to the end. Okay, hopefully you see the circle minus the triangle on the inside, and that will get you the shaded region left over. So let's start by finding the area of the whole circle, which is right off your formula chart of pi r squared. So that's 3.14. And the radius we got to think about, because if this is 12 all the way across for that base, halfway across is 6. So that is 6 times 6, which is 36 times pi. That gets you an area of that circle of 113.04. Now let's calculate the triangle directly off the formula chart. 1/2 base times height. So next line, 1/2 And let's look at our base. Our base is 12 and our height is 5. So 12 and 5. And that gets you 30 for your final answer, square centimeters. Now, you have to decide if this is an addition or subtraction problem. So what we have is you found this whole circle. You found the whole circle right here. And then you found that triangle. Now, if I found the whole circle already, it's covering that triangle and the triangle some more. So I'm wanting to subtract that triangle out, because then what I get left over are these little pieces. So I'm going to subtract. So let's line up the decimals appropriately. 113 and 4 cents, put it over on that side. The 30 must be below the 13. And you could add those zeros if you want to, and it is a subtraction problem. So 4 minus 0, 4, 0, and then you're going to subtract the rest of it. And you get 83.04 square centimeters. All right, now for the good part. The extra credit for your test tomorrow is the last problem on last night's assignment, the one that we crossed out. Show it to me after your test when you turn in your test, and I will give you credit if it's correct.